Welcome to part 17 of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. In this episode, we start day 3 trial. Because in the last part, we find out that Cody Hawkins did actually see, well, everything. However, here's the thing. Before we could actually, well, renege on using him as a witness, Gumshoe picks him up and uses him as a witness. Oh boy. Let's see how this works out. Unfortunately, it's not looking good for Mr. Powers, as there's plenty of witnesses that say he did it. And unfortunately, since Old Bag can't fit the outfit, Will Powers is the only person that's pretty much a process of elimination because Jack Hammer is dead. Or at least one would think. Hold that thought, folks. We'll come to that. Just not in this part, unfortunately. However, Mia just decides to crack a dead person joke in the middle of a terrible situation. Kind of out of taste. But, there is a way for us to find it. And that is, we've got to find any contradictions, find any sort of overlooked evidence, anything that can save us from getting our butts handed to us by Edgeworth. Or more importantly, save us from having to deal with the fact that Will Powers went to jail for absolutely nothing. Now it's this day that you need to pay attention to, because there is a forced event around here somewhere, but more importantly, you'll have to do a lot of pressing statements. You can't just go around presenting evidence willy-nilly. Not particularly in this one, because if you do, you'll find yourself being hit with random penalties. I wouldn't say random penalties, I mean major penalties. They go from like 2 bars of credibility to about maybe 3 bars. So on that note, we get to see what Sal Manella has to say, because he's going to use his alibi that he used in the last part to try to cover up the fact that somebody, some way, is lying in Global Studios. And of course, he's going to speak in Leet. I'm sorry, but it's just the fact that the guy speaks in pure Leet. However, he was indeed at Global Studios. So on that note, we need to find out exactly what he was doing aside from that meeting, and also the rundown between Jack Hammer and Will Powers when they were trying to practice for the Steel Samurai. Now then, we just gotta pay attention, because in this testimony, there is one specific, actually there's two statements in this testimony that you need to pay attention to. The first one would happen to be the one about his plates. Specifically, the fact that he didn't get anything. Yeah, this statement right here, where he said, "But I had a meeting at Studio 2, so I ended up skipping lunch." And then there's the other testimony statement. During the meeting, I'm pretty sure no one left their chairs. Those 2 statements you have to pay attention to, because you're going to have to actually press them. Again, presenting any evidence willy-nilly will cause you to get penalties. So on that note, it's time for the cross-examination. And for some reason, I think every time before Phoenix has a cross-examination, the judge is about ready to throw the gavel. Is he incompetent or something? I think it gets a little bit better, but nonetheless... Oh, excuse me. Press this fourth statement, and we'll find out the truth. Because after all, we did investigate the studio lot back in part 16, and we found out, also in part 15 as well, and we found out that he has plates, or at least there was plates outside of the trailer. So select its contradictory. Anything else will get you a penalty. Or actually you'll have to do it again. So on that note, Phoenix will reveal something about this guy. The fact that he and the producer, D. Vasquez, was literally sitting outside eating, well, lunch in the employee, well, not in the employee area, but also they were eating in the trailer. Yeah, he practically ate that T-bone steak. It's just the fact that he just didn't want nobody to see him, well, eat it. Oh god, that face. And they took one break during the meeting. And of course him with that face, dear god. So, there is a contradictory, so you had to press the fourth statement, and not only that, press the last statement he made, so that way you'll be able to find a contradiction. This one right here. And that just pretty much blew up his whole statement. So now, here we go. You'll have to press harder in order for to reveal what's going on. This at least will open up the door to a new testimony. And he just got finished telling the court he had a T-bone steak for dinner, or for lunch anyway. And this guy is just sweating to the oldies. So now, we're going to come up to the next set of testimonies. And the next set of testimonies, that's where the forced event is going to be located at. So be prepared, folks. I'll point it out to you, but if you don't actually press the right statements or foolishly present, you probably won't actually proceed through this case. So bear that in mind. With that said, also, I had to make sure that the TV was a little bit up so I could hear it. Because there was people sleeping and they left when I finished playing. But anyway, seeing as how they took a break and somebody could have left from that studio. Who? No one knows yet. But we will find out. So now there's a change in testimony, and this time you really will have to pay attention. And Edgeworth is seeming a little bit too comfortable. Something tells me that he might have an upper hand on this. Nonetheless, the first statement you have to pay attention to, that one's gonna have to be pressed. But the second statement, not the second statement, I think it was either the second or the third. Yes, it was the second statement actually you had to press after the first one. But primarily, press the first one. And the judge is once again quick to agree, even though there's a good chance the statement may be a contradiction. Why does he keep doing that? So on that note, press this statement here. Now that you've actually pressed it, he'll reveal that the break is around 2:30 to 2:45. Which, by the way, 2:30 is the time of death of Jack Hammer. So on that note, there is something else that's missing. So we're gonna have to press yet another statement. And what is he? Oh! He's about to do something. I think it's this statement here? Yes, this statement. I thought it was the second, it was the third one. And as soon as you press that statement, Edgeworth mandatorily cuts off this testimony and cross-examination. In other words, he pretty much revealed that the people in the studio could not do anything. And unfortunately, there's not much you could actually say. Now, here's the thing. You're gonna have to answer, because what's about to happen, if you make a mistake, you're gonna get a penalty until you get it right. 2 bars of credibility. Say no, it's impossible, otherwise you'll get 2 bars of credibility gone. Because if you keep pulling out evidence, that's exactly what'll happen. And Edgeworth will contradict you every time. And remember, folks, he's going to bring up the fact that the Ukuk statue, or the Miss Monkey, or the Mr. Monkey statue, fell off of the head. Okay, damn it, I slipped up. I meant to say he'll mention something about Mr. Monkey's head falling off, hitting a tree, and blocking the path. So there's no way anybody could actually get into the studio. And Edgeworth pretty much accidentally misgendered Mr. Monkey, but that's okay. People make mistakes. And he went there and ended the cross-examination with Sal Manella this time. However, the real event's about to come. Remember I said Cody was going to play a part in this trial? Guess who's about to be put on the stand to testify? Oh boy. And the judge practically dismissed the producer and director for possibly being murderers. Oh man. If we don't find anything through Cody's testimony, Will Powers is done. And now, Edgeworth is about to bring Cody to the stand. So on that note, he better prepare himself, because this kid is pretty hard to handle. I mean, Phoenix barely got him to negotiate. Unfortunately, the same thing won't be said for Edgeworth. And now, we're gonna have a 10-minute recess, but don't give up just yet. It's far from over. Or at least that's what I would have said if just about every avenue of Phoenix's testimony has been cut off. So here's the thing. When it comes down to Cody, again, pay attention to everything he says and everything he does. And also, by the way, save the game at this point here. Yeah, you may have to go through the cutscene with Mia and Phoenix talking to Will Powers all over again, but I have to tell you, you mess up any time during Cody's testimony, you thought you would actually get like 2 bars of credibility gone. The fact that an innocent kid is involved, you're probably gonna get twice as much the penalty. So you might want to save, not just at this point, but also save in the middle of the testimony as well. But particularly save here, so that way you will at least calm down for a little bit if you do make a mistake, because there is one point where you're going to make a mistake. And more importantly, you are going to have to go back to where the cross-examination begins, and then we'll be able to you'll be able to actually, through process of elimination, find out exactly what's going on. Because here's the thing, I'm telling you to save at certain points, but it's specifically wise for you to save here or save before the cross-examination, because you never know when you're going to make a mistake. And trust me, that shit has happened to me in this trial, and it also happened to me in Rise from the Ashes, when I accidentally presented the wrong evidence and got a penalty. Or accidentally pressed the wrong statement and got a penalty. So now, everyone is worrying at the fact that Phoenix may cause a kid trauma. So on that note, pay attention, because eventually Cody's gonna slip up. Now, also pay attention to this dialogue as well. That's why I said to save before we get to this part. And now Cody will need a box in order to stand on, because no one can barely see him, because he is a 2nd grader after all, and he's pretty small. Alright. Now Edgeworth is going to try to get a name from him. Edgeworth is about to get upset. And just like I said before, Mia's boobs has completely hypnotized Cody to the point where he would actually answer her before Edgeworth, and the judge of all people. And now Edgeworth is getting the 10th degree. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. This is hilarious. And Edgeworth, and Phoenix is just looking at this and just was sweating bullets because of how awkward the situation has become. So on that note, bearded gentleman, ha, that's funny. On that note, the judge actually noticed something. That photographic equipment is strictly forbidden in the courtroom, unless that is used for evidence. And unfortunately, Edgeworth had to compromise with Cody in order for him to testify. He couldn't actually testify without his camera. And here's the thing. It's this statement right here where he says he doesn't really know how good it works. It's what's going to actually save you in his testimony. So remember that statement, folks, because he's going to slip up in his testimony. And on that note, you only have a certain amount of time before Edgeworth just says that the cross-examination is a bust. So once again, pay attention to everything Cody has to say and prepare yourself for the worst. Alright. Now we are going to start the now we're going to have to start the witness testimony first, instead of the cross-examination. So, what you're going to do is pay attention to, I do believe, the last statement. And this is important too. The thing is about this testimony in the 3DS version, there's only 9 statements. So you pick the last statement, which is the 9th statement. Anywhere else, there's only going to be 10. So bear that in mind. It's going to be the second to last one for anywhere else, but it would be the statement. It would be this statement right here. And the statement with Cody saying, "I wish I had my camera with me," was the statement that you're going to have to pay attention to. And however, again, the 3DS version, all you'll have is those 9 statements, one of which happened to be the one I just mentioned, which that is the last one. So pay that attention. Oh, okay, pay that some attention, that's what I meant to say. Now then, let's keep cycling through, and the statement that you want to get is going to be... Oh, excuse me. Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to do that. It was supposed to be the 9th one, but I accidentally passed them up. And you're gonna get this if you pass through all of the witness testimony. If you get that cutscene at least, I think, 7 times, Edgeworth will cut it short. And after that, then Will Powers will be declared guilty. So there's something you gotta remember about that. Now, press that statement about if you had your camera. And he's probably caught in a lie. Now then, if you press that statement, he will actually reveal something. Now then, let's go back a little bit. Or should I say, I think you're supposed to present. That's what you're supposed to do. But you should have pressed the statement too, so that way, at least you know this one is a lie, because he just said in court just now that he always carries his camera. So present his camera to the statement. Objection! The reason why I said press is because of the fact that it's a bona fide clue that he's lying. And he just got finished saying that he brought his camera everywhere he goes. And, uh-oh. The judge is, oh, I think the judge wants to know what a digital camera is. Used to have one of those earlier on in the lifespan of my channel, but, switched that for an actual capture card. And, actual DVR recorders that's on the game consoles. So on that note, Edgeworth is actually trying to chastise Phoenix Wright. Oh, excuse me. He called her he called Edgeworth a persecuting attorney. Sorry about that, I had something in my throat. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So here's the thing. Cody has just revealed that he had his camera on him the entirety of the time. But what he did not reveal is what exactly happened. So, we're about to find that out right now in this new testimony. So you're gonna have to pay attention to Cody's testimony once again, because he is gonna slip up. And how is he gonna slip up, you may ask? Not this statement, but the statement afterwards, which he says, the bad guy stopped moving. Make sure that you pay attention to that statement, because that statement alone is gonna crack this case. On that note, it would be in your best decision to actually not only press, but actually keep pressing on that statement. Don't present anything just yet. You will take a hit of credibility if you do. And I almost presented something. That was real stupid. Well, at least I pressed a statement before I did. Now, you'll have to actually find out exactly what's going on. And why exactly did the body stop moving? So Cody just came up with something like the samurai chop or the samurai slap or kick. So what you do, you press him harder. Waiting to see what will happen will just end the testimony right then and there. So on that, or at least in that statement right then and there, you'll have to go back through it all over again. So on that note, you should at least pay attention, because not once did he mention anything about the samurai spear that old bag taped up.
Objection!
And Edgeworth pretty much is flabbergasted too as to what exactly he means. Of course he's being vague, because he didn't see the samurai spear. And Edgeworth, well, he just realized it. And more importantly, he didn't see the killing blow. So on that note, how could he possibly see the killing blow if he actually did not show it? No, how could he see the killing blow if he wasn't actually there to see it? Well, actually he was, but how should I put it? He didn't see the climax of the fight. So the answer is, we're gonna have to show evidence. And there's a reason for that. And why would you want to show evidence? Here's the reason. His camera. Earlier on in the trial, he said he bought the thing and he barely got it to work. And now it's being used as evidence against him. In fact, this is the second time he recently stated that he got the camera and he barely knows how to use it. And the judge just caught on. And he was trying so hard to activate the camera to the point where he missed a good part. And he was trying to take a picture too. And he thought he was picking on him, but unfortunately, he's trying to reveal the truth. But as I said, Cody is practically going to crack this case open in the last part, and I meant every word of that. So the question is, why would he had not tried to actually see the whole fight if he wasn't fiddling around with his camera? Because after all, the camera was too new for him to use. But whatever the case, we will continue the testimony and the rest of Day 3 trial in Part 18. This is RP Man 985. See you guys next time.